I mean, I have no problem with Steve Kerr saying that. I mean, no, I have one problem, my bad. It's just that he definitely knew what he was saying, and there's no way, like, because he went on a press conference and said, "Oh, these were taken out of context." But you knew what you were saying, and we heard what you said, so there was no way these were taken out of context. So Odell, I've said, should be traded by the Browns. He's brittle. He's injured a lot. And I know he's productive. So he's productive. So they'll get a lot back for him. Because some teams are so desperate, they'll just say, "Yeah, we'll take him. We'll take the risk, even though he's an injury question mark. We'll take it." So you can get like a steal for him if you trade Odell. And you know what I actually heard, he's the top Instagram earner in the NFL. He has recently become a bigger Instagram star than a football star. He's 47th in receiving yards in the last 2 years, and he missed 25 games in the last 2 years. So it doesn't seem like he's good for the Browns. And they have Jarvis Landry. They have Austin Hooper. They have David Njoku, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. They have weapons without him. So he's brittle. He's injured a lot. And I just think it's best to move on from him. And speaking of Baker and the Browns, by the way, they also have a great offensive line. See, they're fine without him. And they get a lot back for him if they pick the right team, the right desperate team. So, speaking of Baker, the Giants did this to him this year. Or no, the Giants are doing to Daniel Jones what the Browns did to Baker this year. The Browns went out. They got Kevin Stefanski. They got they already had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And they got a lot of offensive linemen that made it one of the best in the league. And they already had Jarvis Landry. So, and they went out and got Austin Hooper. So they were like, okay, you got 2 good tight ends, 2 good running backs, 2 good receivers, and a great offensive line. So it's on you now. If you don't win, it's on you. And that's what the Giants are doing to Daniel Jones. Because now the Giants are like, okay, their defense is actually not that bad, the Giants. The Giants were 9th in points last year defensively. So they don't have a bad defense at all. But the Giants now have Kenny Golladay, Saquon Barkley, my bad. Their O-line isn't terrible. I mean, they can use one, but Evan Ingram is not a terrible tight end, but they're So they've got Golladay, great receiver, Barkley, great running back, Joe Judge, a great coach, and a pretty good defense. It's good, not great. But now it's on Jones. Especially in the NFC East, like, I know this roster doesn't sound stacked, but in the NFC East, if you don't make the playoffs with this, roster, you shouldn't be the quarterback. So, Kirk commented about difficult times when he coached KD in his final year, and KD just said, "That's hilarious." That was his response. And then he went on air, and he seemed a little mad there. But like I said earlier, he's one of the smartest, most respected guys in the NBA. He knows what he's doing. And he said, it was taken out of context. Now, multiple stars have just said, now what I want to talk about here is, like, the lack of how scared the coaches are of players. Now, because multiple stars have said, I don't want to play, I mean, Kyrie just said, I won't go on the road trip with the Nets. And he doesn't have an injury or anything. He just said no. So coaches should stop being terrified of pissing off players. I mean, his reaction was kind of embarrassing. I mean, he's won rings as a coach, a player, a GM. I mean, don't be terrified of them, especially when you're Steve Kerr. Don't be scared of a Kevin Durant. You're Steve Kerr. You won 3. Did he win 6 rings as a player? You made it to 5 finals as a coach. Let's look up Steve Kerr's career. This guy, Kevin Durant's phenomenal. He's one of the best players you've ever seen, but he's... Let me see what this guy did. 5-time NBA champ as a player. Let's see. Who did he GM for? Okay, 8-time NBA champion. He's an 8-time NBA champion. He won 5 titles as a player, 3 titles as the Warriors head coach. He's been to 10 finals. You should not be terrified of them at all when you're Steve Kerr. Have a little pushback. I mean, Adam Silver does this. I mean, he said, players were saying, we don't want to play the All-Star game. He said, no, we're doing it. I don't care what you say. And then players also didn't want to condense the season. And he said no. And it turned out to be a little weird, but great season, And I think LeBron realized that's when Kyrie was saying we shouldn't play. What he realized was it gives owners more power. So he was like, whoa, we got to play the season. So have a little pushback, especially when you're a guy like Steve Kerr. All right. Alright, let's get some music going here. And I mean, having pushback is not a bad thing. I mean, players can complain, but what are they going to do about it? And I'm a pro player guy. I mean, I'm all for the players having some power, But I mean, you shouldn't be so afraid of them as a respected coach. Alright. Let's get some music on. Alright. So D Ford restructured his contract and for the 49ers, and he's a great defensive player for them. I think they can give Jimmy G one more year. We know he's capable of taking a team to the Super Bowl. We know that. He's capable, because we also know it's complicated for him. Because we know he's capable of taking the team to the Super Bowl, but we also know he's capable of missing an entire season. So we'll see what happens, and then make a decision on, or they will see what happens and make a decision on him, I think. Give him one more year. Alright. So, new Patriot players, apparently chose New England because of Belichick, the appeal of playing with him. And I mean, Cam Newton feels like a temporary solution, but he's a good solution, for them, because he's very much capable. I mean, he's completing 65% of his passes, and he had a 90 passer rating, which is pretty good, the last 9 weeks of the season. So you gave him weapons, he should be good with it, he should be good enough. I wouldn't be surprised if he made the playoffs. Alright. So, that would have been, yesterday's podcast. which was how long? 40 minutes. That's perfect. That would have been yesterday's podcast, but we have a whole nother one ahead. And I got a lot of good stuff here. So I'm going to have to end this in like 5 minutes because it only gives me a 45-minute time zone. But, alright, I want to talk about Zion. He dropped 27 yesterday, obviously on a pretty vulnerable Lakers team, but he's getting into MJ territory. Because the only person who scored more points than him in 65 games is MJ. And with LeBron out, Embiid out, AD out, Steph out, Giannis out, he has become the top TV product. And he is making his critics look ridiculous, and he is phenomenal TV. Alright. So Jameis Winston got really emotional yesterday talking about Drew Brees, saying he means a lot to him. And I mean, it is a great opportunity to learn from a guy like Drew Brees, who is clearly a phenomenal teammate, and a lot of impact. I've seen a lot of people cry about him retiring. It's insane. Because I knew he was a nice guy. I knew he was a great teammate. I knew he was a great leader. But it's crazy. I mean, it's great. It's great to learn from him, from an all-time great, always. And I think Jameis Winston will be a capable starter next year. And I feel like my comments, because I've only been doing this for 46 episodes, maybe even, what is it? I think I'm on 3-4 months now. My comments can be taken out of context. Not a 8-time champion. Because sometimes I talk about Jameis Winston, I'm like, he'll be good. But I'm not saying he's going to be phenomenal. I'm not saying he's going to be like Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure he'll do well. But I'm not saying he's like Aaron Rodgers. I think that people can be misunderstanding that a bit. Alright, so Mac Jones, who I'm not very high on because he's an Alabama guy and not many Alabama quarterbacks, do well in the NFL. He apparently was impressing scouts yesterday at Pro Day. I don't want to be negative, but it's going to be a lot different in the NFL for him. He won't always be protective like he was. He won't have his receivers wide open, and he will actually trail a game. And his defense won't be as good, and he won't have Nick Saban. So, I think this might, that's what I'm afraid that might happen to Tua. But I'll still be positive about him. I want him to be good. I don't want Mac Jones to be bad. I'm not rooting for him to fail. That's why I'm kind of a pro Tua guy. I want to see an Alabama guy do well, because he hasn't done well in so long, but, we have to face the truth here sometimes, And that is a lot of Alabama quarterbacks don't succeed. And it's not their fault. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to Alabama? I don't know who wouldn't want to go there. It's a great school to go to, and like I said, it's a quarterback fantasy. It really is. So I'm rooting for Mac Jones, but I have a lot of concerns. So Draymond Green says he's the best defender in the NBA, and a lot of people say today it's easier to defend, but I think it's tougher because, I think it was tougher for offensive players to play a couple decades ago. Because of, if you went down the lane, you're going to get hacked by a Mutombo or Olajuwon or Bill Laimbeer. You're going to get hacked if you go down there. And today, you're not going to get hacked, but on the defensive side, it's tougher because there's a much bigger skill set today. Bigs can shoot and dribble. There are bigs that can shoot and dribble. So I think Draymond Green's argument is, look what I have to defend. That's a lot more than the other guys that played back then. But I think you'll get pushback if you say if you